This time I make major progress on Patti, and I got a couple new tips and tricks to show you. At least they were new to me because I just thought of them when I was making this video. Well, the more astute viewers will notice there's a belly pan on Patti now. So I just kind of slipped it on there. There's not really much to see. And I got to get it fastened on. And then after that, I got to rebuild the skid. After that, Patti will be more or less a rolling chassis. And we can get to the serious assembly work like dropping in the motor and the wiring and all that great stuff. So I guess let's just get after it. Here's trick number one, I guess, for the day. So I got this kind of clamped up, but it's loose, so I can get the hole lined up. And I'm not even sure. I just jam a number 2 screwdriver through there. Sorry, I gotta move you. I can't see it. Maybe I'll unclamp it all together. I just jam a number 2 screwdriver through there. Get it through both parts. Make sure the hood strap's not in there. And then clamp her up. Make sure you got everything lined up. Alright, that is not tight enough. Gotta make sure it ain't gonna move either. So number 2 screwdriver should be 1/4 inch shank. And then, I'm sure those of you that have done this before know, it sucks to get the socket onto that bolt. So I'm going Allen bolts. Why not? They work great. So life is already easier. All right, I'm going to leave that a little bit loose, just so I can move it around while I'm putting it together. So it's time to start riveting the belly pan back on. So you can see I got her tipped up on her side. Got a little bit of ratchet strap action going to the footwell so that I could line up this rivet hole back here. And looks like it lines up pretty good. A lot of these other holes, they're just, this pan isn't from this sled, so I'll be drilling holes. I can see the outline of the old pan where it matches, but the rivets just aren't in the same spot. No big deal. Fresh holes, who cares? It's just Patti. Well, it's coming along. I didn't even have to drill all the holes in this side. A bunch of them lined up. A couple were actually okay on the other side, too. Got to give it one more flip because I didn't fully rivet the bottom side, the side that's down now. And then rivet from the inside. Oh, yeah. Take care of that strap up there. Then we ought to be pretty near done with the belly pan. All right, there's all the rivets from the underside, at least all I know of. We got that strap attached all along the bottom, attached to the trailing arm brace. I don't know. That's about it. Both sides are done. Now to get the ones from inside the pan. It's suspension time for Patti. So this is actually the skid that came out of the kid's sled. It ain't great, but it's better than Patti's. Patti's is rusted solid. You can see the shocks are still in it. I'm literally going to have to cut them out with the grinder, and by the time I'm done with that, that skid's pretty much going to be junk. So I'm going with the kid sled. Now the kid sled is only marginally better. It's got this bent spring on it, so we got to get this collar off and get that spring out of there and get the spring out of Patti. After that, put the shocks in, put it back together, hope for the best, right? Right. All right, well, here goes. You know, this arm is supposed to be bolted to these sides, and it's not. Great. All right, so we're going to be making a combo skid. We're going to have to use that rear arm here in this skid. or these parts on that skid, or who knows? Who knows how it'll come out by the time we're done. So last night I soaked them down with Croil before I went in the house. And I don't know, today I got to blow them apart and try to make one good one out of the two. Let's see how that works out. I think the first thing I want to do, so these upper shock bolts are frozen in there, and they're froze really good. And I was thinking, how am I going to deal with this? Well, I had an idea last night, so let's give that a try right now. All right, so the shock bolts are stuck, seized in the sleeve. Here's my idea. Yeah, big air hammer. I don't care if I wreck the bolts. I'll get more bolts. It worked. All right, I beat on that with the regular hammer, beat on it, and it didn't move. But the air hammer is solving the problem. Oh boy. Look at that. That's a miracle. That was seized in the sleeve of the shock. That was not coming out. When I was beating on it with a hammer, the ears were spreading. All right, I think I got the same situation up here. The front. Maybe not. Maybe this one's loose. No, it's the same deal. Well, let's try this air hammer trick again. That is not working. All right, let's move on to the other shock bolts and see what we can do. All right, let's try this one. Nothing. You can see that's really stuck in there. So we're just going to have to zip it off with the grinder and figure it out. I think we can maybe get the shock out after we cut it off. Well, of course we can. We'll cut this side, we'll cut that side. Not. So for some reason, they chose to make this a through bolt on an Xtra 12. I'm not sure why. I am sure it's loose, so that's good. To get a punch and tap her out, maybe. Well, let's see. There we go. All right, this arm should come out. Oh, where is the hammer? There we go. All right. That's all good. All right, so we got our rebuilt shock we want to use. Look at the water just running out of this thing. Let's see. Decide if that's moving or not. Yeah, that's moving. All right, so it doesn't look like anything's froze up. These bolts are backed out down here. They're broke off on this one. So let's see. How do we go about getting this shock out? Well, the bolt's just spinning, but that may well be because it's seized in the sleeve. So we're going to try our air hammer trick on it. Ah, not seized in the sleeve. Good. Or if it was, the air hammer got her loose. There we go. Alright, so now we just got this top one up here to deal with that was definitely seized in the sleeve. Look at that! A whole lot of air hammer action and it unseized. Alright. Guess we got it. When it goes flying across the room, we got it. All right, so I only had to cut one out of 4 on this skid. Now this arm, let's see. That cross shaft doesn't feel very good, but at least the top shaft does. Oh boy. Yeah, she's pretty stuck. All right, well, that one's stuck in there. Really stuck. That might call for extreme measures. Great. All right, so you can see I blew apart that skid. It's just parts now. There's no skid. There's just 2 piles of parts. Here's my biggest problem I got. So this is the one that came on Patti, and this shaft is stuck in here. And this is the one from the kids' sled. You can tell because it has 2 springs. This shaft is more stuck with broken off bolts and everything's chewed up. Also, this top shaft doesn't move on the kids' sled. This thing's garbage. I mean, I'm going to have to pick springs and wheels and rods and stuff off it, but we're done with that. So, Patti, as you can see, this top shaft moves. We're happy with that. In fact, I'm just going to yank it out right now if it'll cooperate. Oof, that's a mess. I'll try to set that somewhere where it won't get me too slimy. And there we go. So that helps a little with working on it. Now I need to get this out. I think I'm going to put it in the vise and try the air hammer on it. If that doesn't work, I got another super secret trick you'll want to see. Let's try the air hammer first. It'll be a lot easier if it works. All right, well, let's give it a try. If this works, and I don't care if these threads are wrecked, I'm going to make a new shaft. No, that's just expanding it out. That was a horrible idea. I got to put a bolt in the end of it, apparently, before I try that. I don't know if you caught that on camera, but Not a good thing to do. All right. Now I got something to push on. Let's see if it moves. Good Lord, it worked. Oh, there we go. All right. So I either need to repair or make a new one of these, and I think it's looking like make a new one if I have the aluminum on hand. Well, that other super secret trick, I would have drilled it out. That's it. That's the secret trick. I bought a drill bit that'll go all the way through most tubes, even the long ones I can reach by going from each end. Definitely it's going to work better if the shaft is aluminum and a steel housing, but that'd be the other way. But luckily I didn't have to do that. That's just painful compared to the air hammer. Got one more left to do. Also stuck. Let's try the air hammer again. That one is not threaded. That's right, that one had a through bolt. I don't think the air hammer cares. Oh boy. That is so fantastic. Have I just discovered the ultimate secret to getting stuck shafts out? Maybe. Probably not. So, I got the shaft out. I got my new shaft made. I pounded it through a couple times, but it's still kind of tight in there. A lot of rust and scale came out. I want it to be looser. I want it to fit better, so I made a tool. Yeah, that's just a piece of 1/2-inch round stock with a slot cut in it with the cutoff wheel on the drill. Let's see. Oh boy. I should have the camera on the bottom so you could see the rust falling out. Maybe I'll do that. All right, I'd already ran it through, so the bulk of it had already fallen out by the time I put the camera on there. But let's see how the shaft fits now. A little bit tight, but much better. Okay, we got to work on the other end. I'm going to flip it upside down. All right, one thing I noticed, this end's a little crimped over. That's better. All right. I think that's good enough. All right, it's lunchtime. As you can see, the skid's still apart, but I got a pizza going over here thanks to the support of the patrons. So there you go. So if you really like the channel, you really want to help support it, please sign up on the Patreon. The link's down in the description. You get to watch all the videos early and ad-free, and you get your name up on the screen at the end. Patrons, I really appreciate you. Everybody else, well, you know, please hit subscribe. If you made it this far, you know you like the videos, and you can subscribe on your phone. You can subscribe on your TV. However you're watching, there's a way to subscribe. So please figure that out and do it, and we really appreciate your support. Been working at it for a while. I have the back arm together. Got the shock on. Got the little bushings freed up and out of those. Shock bushings are freed. Hardware's good. This is the shaft that's free to slide. Got a pair of springs that match on it. Next step, I think, is to throw that in the skid. It's a struggle, folks. It's never easy working on skids. All right, the back arm's in, reconditioned as required. Feeling pretty good about that. She moves free, just like she should. Catch it on the springs there, but yeah, happy with that. All right, next obstacle, up here on the front. This front arm. This one's locked up. This one came from the other skid, and the shaft moves, and it took grease. I know what I need to do. All right, before I got any further, I decided I'd go back and put this rubber boot on that shock. I don't know why. Sometimes I find them on skids, sometimes I don't. But, you know, Polaris put it on for some reason. So, back to this. I did get this front arm that actually moves on here. So, next step is assemble this front shock with these struts and all that kind of crap. It's getting to be a long day. I'll bring you back when that's done. So these lower shock bushings on the front, you could see they're just pounded out. Just flipping destroyed. But I had the answer. This stick of stainless steel tubing, 3/8 ID, 5/8 OD. So normally these bushings are 9/16 OD. But you can see that tightens everything up again. Well, that didn't work very well. So that's going to take care of it. By the way, this stick was 3 feet long a couple of years ago. You can do the math, but that's like 20 or 24 bushings I've made out of it now. Still fighting rust. So the bushings wouldn't fit through these guys because of the rust buildup. They do now. 1/2-inch drill bit. That's the answer. Finally, it's together. Except for changing the bearings in literally every wheel except for these two up here. These two are the only ones that are good in the entire skid. But the main skid is rebuilt, and it's a whole lot of snap rings and pounding bearings for a while. Sure wish Lonnie was here to do the bearings. All right, I got another trick to show you. So you don't want to wreck the threads in your adjustment block because of this rust. So got a hex die threaded on there just a little bit. I've already done this on the other side. Let's see if I can keep my... hard to do with one. You get the idea. Cleaning the rust off the threads. So that was an entire Saturday making one good Xtra 12 out of 2 super crappy Xtra 12s. A lot of work. I actually started a bit Friday night, day after Thanksgiving, and started taking stuff apart then. You could probably tell when I changed shirts. But it's done. It's together. Everything's good. Everything fits. All the grease zerks take grease. All the shafts are greased. All the bearings that needed to be replaced are replaced, and that's every bearing except for these top two. All the rest. Everything's good. So had to make one new shaft for it. Just a lot of work. It is a lot of work. I mean, every little bit of it is work, and it all takes a lot of time. So basically, one full day is about what I spent on it. And tomorrow I'm going to get it into Patti. So we'll keep going on Patti, and I want to get Patti done pretty soon. I'm tired of having it take up the work table here, and I want to get onto my Ultra. Well, it's the next morning. I'm going to try to shove this Xtra 12 in without the help of the guys, just for a sense of accomplishment. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Here's what I got going. I got the torsion springs taken loose, so this rear bar is compressed way down with these ratchet straps. I like that. And then it's always a bitch on this front to, get that up in, because it just, there's no spring holding it up. So I got a 2x4 jammed across there. And I don't know. That's what we're going to do. See if we can get it in there or not that way. All right. Got both of those front arm holes in that pocket that they go into. So I got the front arm bolted in. Pretty happy with that. I mean, it's usually more of a struggle than this. I think my newfound technique is 2x4 to hold that front arm up. Hell, there's probably guys out there that have known that forever. I don't know. First time I heard of it, first time I tried it. So I think the easiest way to deal with the torsion springs now that I have them loose is just going to be pull the spring off and put it back on. I'll be right back. Let's see how this goes. I cracked those set screws loose. Pull the wheel off. Torsion spring comes right off. Wiggle it into the block. Boom. Well, that couldn't have been much easier. Get this little plastic block lined up right. There we go. All right. Well, no problem with that. There we go, Xtra 12 installed. 2 ratchet straps, some 2x4s, a pry bar, a little bit of patience. No big deal. Well, there we go. We got Patti's Xtra 12 in. Wasn't too much of a struggle. You know, I don't know. I just kind of made it up as I went. I used a little common sense and, you know, jammed that 2x4 under the front arm to keep it up and took the torsion springs off and ratcheted everything down to make it easy. And, you know, maybe there's some way that goes a little faster, but I'd rather take a little longer and put less effort into it. And I feel like it really wasn't that much effort. So there we go. However, rebuilding the skid, that was a lot of effort. So I'm going to sign this one off here. I know the boys really want to get in on the next steps. We gotta finish putting it together. But I think we're past the worst of it with the chassis work. The chassis on this sled was a disaster. And now it's been reconditioned into good enough to ride. I'm not saying it's perfect. It's good enough. So, with that said, hit subscribe if you haven't yet. Really appreciate it if you do that. It helps us out with growing the channel. If you really want to support the channel, check out the Patreon. The link is down below in the description. And the Patreon, as you can see, the patrons from Patreon get their names up here on the screen. And there's 2 screens worth now. And for a little bit of a donation every month, they support us there on Patreon with a little bit of a donation, which helps us with pizza, with parts, with keeping the shop going. And in return, they get to get their name up on the screen, and they get to watch all the videos early and ad-free over on Patreon. And they get patron-only videos. Did a couple from that Sunday Fun Day that I thought were pretty good. So there you go. Please consider doing one of those 2 things. Subscriptions are free, Patreon, small donation. And I guess we'll see you on the trails.